I'm going to introduce somebody that I'm so excited to bring up, Erik Hatch. Erik Hatch, as you make your way up. This guy, if you don't know who he is, and if you're not following him on social media and looking at what he teaches, and he is one of the biggest givers in our industry, one of the most connected to the human experience of your team members and your clients and the greater community. Coming here from Fargo, North Dakota. The first time, just similar to my story with Kyle, the first time I saw Erik, he was here for a conference in San Diego. I was walking through a lobby, and I noticed him at the lobby bar, just sitting there having a water. And I said, "Holy shit, that's Erik Hatch." I didn't go say hi, didn't introduce myself, didn't think he'd know who I was or anything like that. But I was like, man, I have learned so much from that guy, and he doesn't even know it, because the giving stuff out, the providing value game that we all should be playing, he's been playing for far longer than most of us. So with that, Erik Hatch, one of the really, truly special people in our industry.
Anybody ever been to Fargo? You're my boy, screw the rest of you. We're just going to talk, just you and me. I'm totally kidding. Awesome to be here. Dan asked me to come, and I think he asked me because I'm probably a little different than most presenters, different than most realtors, different than most business owners, and I hope you can pick up on that and walk away with a few nuggets. But I understand this is 5 hours of sitting, and I'm a former youth minister. Imagine all the fun of being a kid with all the pay of being a kid, and then all the responsibility of being an adult, and that's where I lived. And so we're going to make sure we're going to get you moving just a little bit. We're going to play one of my favorite games called That's Me. If I say something and that describes you, you're going to stand up and proudly say, "That's me." I am a man. Wow, I didn't buy most of that. Did you catch that right away? Okay. I'm a female. Some of you are already revolting. You're like, yeah, I'm going to raise my hand maybe. I'm not even going to stand up. No way. You right there, I caught you. You're like, yeah, screw this guy. I'm not going to stand up. I've been in real estate less than 24 months. You guys are so quiet, embarrassed about that. You should be. No, I'm not at all. The fact that you're jumping in and that you're here to learn actually speaks droves about your character. I've been in real estate longer than 15 years. Boy, they were slow to get up, weren't they? Old creaky bones. Do you feel that? And some of you still are just going to raise your hand, and that's okay, because if you're sitting for 5 hours and you haven't gone to the bathroom, you're dehydrated. But if you're sitting for 5 hours, we want to get you moving. So I live in California. Okay. I don't live in California. Yeah. Fantastic. I'm Canadian. We have a couple. There's 3 Canadians. They were the politest people in the room. Politest? Did I just say politest? I did. Okay. Most polite. There it is. I minored in English for a semester, but that was a long time ago. I am a rainmaker. I run a team in real estate. Okay. The most hated people in the room just stood up. Perfect. I am an agent on a team. Okay. These people do all the work and get none of the credit. Got it? I'm an ISA or an admin on a team. Okay, they were so quiet. Did you see that? I'm an independent agent. Okay, it's good to see the mix of who's in the room, because it's so interesting to speak to a room of about 300 people and to try to figure out what is that message that we want to hit on. And the message that I want to hit on is this: is that everything is changing. The communities that we live in, the business that we run, we can be done with "that's me," but if you use Zillow, say "that's me." I heard some laughter. I heard some people say that's me. My team uses Zillow. I'll give you a little bit of a synopsis because we know Zillow is changing a lot of things and Open Door is changing a lot of things, and our businesses are starting to get undue pressures that we haven't experienced before. I got into real estate part-time in 2006. I was a full-time youth minister and I was a part-time realtor. My first year, I sold 0 houses. It was a fantastic year in real estate. And then I sold like 10 and 12, and then I joined a real estate team. I sold a couple dozen. I was actually our top producer, even though I was a part-time agent. And then I went to the owners and I said, I love this team. I want to figure out how can I take this team to the next level. I'd love to negotiate a higher split. And I'd also love to figure out how I can work listings because I'm working on the buy side right now. And about 2/3 of the business that I'm doing is coming from my own procuring. And they responded with a very simple one-word answer, and that was no. And I would have built them a friggin' empire if they said yes. In fact, what's even better than saying yes, because no is a dangerous word, is yes when. Write that down, please, because yes when is a huge thing. Most of us in our worlds who are running teams or are connected with people, when they ask us something that's outside the box, we quickly respond with no, that's not how we're built, that's not how we run. But everything is changing. And if they would have said yes when and showed me how to get there, I'm stubborn enough to try to prove those people wrong, and I'm going to go and I'm going to get there. They said no, and I soon left their team. I went full-time in real estate in 2011. My first year as a realtor, I sold 52 homes. And I kept a part-time job as a minister on a college campus. I worked about 20 hours a week doing that. Then I did what every dumb person does in real estate, and they say, I know how to sell houses, so that probably means I know how to run a team. And so I started a team, and used to be with a large brokerage, and I hired 3 people that said yes. If you're laughing, you're one of those idiots just like me. And we grew from a team of 4 to a team of 13 in the course of the year. In 2012, we closed 192 transactions, our first year as a real estate team. Now, I was 113 of those 192 transactions. Because I had everybody working for me. And I was doing very little to help the people in my world. I wanted them to pick up the table scraps that I was leaving behind me, thinking that's how I find abundance. In 2013, we continued to grow our team, but everything was a dumpster fire. Everything that I did, I was a bad leader, I was a bad manager, I was improperly training my team members, they were doing a bad job of serving our clients, they were ruining the reputation of the brokerage, and I was just getting all these awards, and I thought I was the bee's knees. And in April of 2013, I got kicked out. As a goody two-shoes youth pastor, sit up in the front nose, brown nose, and kiss butt kind of guy, I got kicked out. And I thought, this brokerage is so stupid. How dare they lose somebody incredible like me? Because egos are quite the thing in our industry, aren't they? And in that moment, I invited my whole team outside of 2 people. I invited 10 people to come with me, and 2 I didn't invite with. 24 hours later, 2 people, my least 2 favorite people on the team, came with me. And 8 said, Eric, you're actually the problem. You're not worth betting on. And it was such an interesting wake-up call for me. Because I came from a life of working in a nonprofit trying to serve other people, and I immediately jumped into this real estate industry that felt very self-serving. And I was doing it all wrong. And I knew that I had to eat a whole lot of humble pie to start over and to do this again. And so I started to rebuild my team. That year, amidst getting kicked out, we sold 246 transactions. I was 149 of those 246 transactions. It's the reason I'm fat and bald, okay? It's just those moments. By the way, realtors in California are way more attractive than the realtors in Fargo. My goodness. Like, I don't see any Carhartt jackets right now. I don't see anybody wearing their Skidoo or Arctic Cat. If you don't know what that is, it's things that people wear when it's cold. okay? 2014, we opened up our own brokerage. I'm proudly the owner and CEO of Hatch Realty. We function solely, thank you very much. We function solely as a team. We have 35 people that I work for every day. When people ask me, Eric, how many people work for you? I say, I don't have anybody that works for me. My entire responsibility is to go to work for those people. And in 2014, we sold 411 transactions, and I was 153 of those 411. Because what hadn't happened yet is I hadn't figured out how to pass the torch and empower the people in my world. They were new, they were wide-eyed and bushy-tailed, but I spent so much energy on bringing the right people in. Let me tell you this, that your world is a pain because of the wrong people, and that's your fault. It is not their fault, it is your fault. Whether it be your friendships, your relationships, or your coworkers. Now, my daughter, my firstborn, her name's Finley, she just turned 5, so that means in 2014 she was born, and I moved out of production. It was really, really scary. And there's this backhanded thing that happens when you move out of production and you realize, wait a minute, my production was funding this team. I wasn't actually really that profitable. It was my production that was funding this team. And you go through all these new learning curves. But fast forward to today, we're a team of 35. I've been out of production for over 5 years now. We will, for the third year in a row, sell over 600 homes. And we're doing that in a 2-county area that has 250,000 people. We've expanded to 3 additional markets. We're in a town 70 miles north and a town 45 miles east and a town 200 miles west. We all know each other because it's North Dakota, right? Like, there's 750,000 people in the entire state of North Dakota. And we're selling 640 homes this year. And I say that not to be braggadocious, but I say that because I'm hoping that you can open your mind to understand that everything's changing. The fat are going to get fatter. Those that are playing a different, smaller game are going to be eliminated. I've heard major industry experts declare that in the next 36 months, we will see half of the realtors be non-existent in real estate because the game is changing. Wow, a little sass there. I like that. Watch out for, is that your wife? God bless you, brother. I love the spirit, I really do, because I agree that the thinning of the herd is the right move. It is the biggest threat to our industry, are half-trained, poorly performing, irresponsible agents. And that's our fault. Because we're quick to bring them onto our teams or into our brokerage because we want to build something that's chasing the dollar. And we need to stop chasing the dollar and start chasing the connection. So with everything changing, I want to talk business for a moment, and then I want to talk personal. All right? So in my last 20 minutes, that's where we're going to go. Let's talk first about business. There's 3 areas that you can find clients. Please write this down because it is so important. The first one is PCSOI. That's Past Client and Sphere of Influence. It is hands down the most foundational way in which to grow a real estate business. My partner, whom some of you know, his name is Robbie T. He is the lead conversion and ISA expert in the entire country. He is the best of the best of the best. And Robbie posted something actually in Lab Coat Agents a couple of days ago, and he posted a quote from the CEO of Disney. And they talked about how technology is changing everything. And the responses he got were not people saying, "You're right, dude, everything's changing. We have to figure out how to be better." And instead the responses were, "But my sphere really likes me. And they're still going to choose me." But the problem is that we're being forced in an industry now. And by the way, things like Zillow and things like the large box companies, they're not the enemy. They are the capitalist on what the consumer wants. And we have to get ahead, or at least paralleling with that, in order to stay relevant. And to stay relevant above anything else is with this first one, with PCSOI. The second one is low-hanging fruit. And low-hanging fruit is going to cost you money. The low-hanging fruit I'm referring to are all the things that you buy. I'm talking Zillow leads, Realtor.com leads, Dave Ramsey partnerships, referrals from other agents, radio, direct mail, all these things that cost you money. This is the most dangerous section right here, is this number 2 section. It is, in fact, maybe the biggest threat to your personal business today is the cost of these, because they're going up, up, up. We're looking around saying, what are we going to do? Because we have these agents who were loving to support, and they're demanding a higher commission split. On a team like mine, my agents are consistently demanding a higher commission split. So we're showing them the way. I'm saying yes when, but they continually want more, and they're top producing. To give you an example, the average buyer agent on my team sells between 60 and 90 homes a year, and the average listing agent on my team sells between 70 and 100 homes a year. I'm dealing with exceptional people because we have made a culture where only fantastic and exceptional exists. We don't have place for mediocrity in my world. And so this low-hanging fruit is continuing to cost us more, while our agents and our structures are continuing to cost us more, and I watch profit margins shrink and shrink and shrink. It's one of the reasons why I now own 18 businesses. Because frankly, my real estate team isn't paying me like it used to. Now, I'm still very fruitful, but I don't have an average sales price of $500,000 like y'all do. My average sales price is $225,000. We got to sell a lot of houses, and that takes more admin, that takes more servicing, and that takes more signs, everything that's costing more. And so right now, as we look at these costs, we have to say, how do we have a strategy with this? The third one is long-term nurtures. My guess is, is anybody in the room bold enough to say how many leads they have in their database? Shout it out. 3,800. What was that in the back? 7,000. What's your name? Micah? Okay. Mike. Okay, perfect. So I would challenge you, Mike, that next year you could turn off every ad spend, purchasing any lead whatsoever, taking your costs of buying leads maybe down from $5,000 or $10,000 a month down to zero. And if you just have a strategy for these long-term nurtures, you'll sell more, you'll certainly make more, and you'll realize the hole in your system right now. Does that feel real? I have a coaching client down in Houston, Texas, who has 50,000 people in his database, and he's purchased most of them through Zillow and pay-per-click. Dude sells 400 homes a year, and he made $100,000 last year running a team. We laugh, but you are 2 steps away from that. If you don't get a strategy for these long-term nurtures and figure out how to actually tend to and cater to and serve those people, if you don't have campaigns that are automatic because your dumb butt is going to forget about it far too often, you are behind the game right now. Our business and our industry is demanding more from you. You should be demanding more of you as well. And so to have a strategy for your past clients and for your sphere of influence. We spend on average about $150,000 a year just to cater to our past clients and sphere of influence. That's through client events. We'll give away pumpkin pies here on the week of Thanksgiving. We'll give away 1,500 pies this year. Our office smells wonderful for those couple of days. But we have a strategy, and the strategy is this. I think it is irresponsible if you get on the phone and call one of your clients and ask for a referral. I think it's irresponsible because there's a better way. I remember graduating from college, and I got phone calls from people who had graduated previous to me, and they said, Eric, hey, let's connect. Let's go out for coffee. And first of all, if you're asking me out for coffee, I don't drink coffee, so you don't know me that well. But I would connect with them, and they'd ask me for 30 minutes about my life. Eric, what's going on? Congrats on graduating. What are you doing now? That's great. And for 30 minutes, they'd ask me about my family and my friends and my business. And then they'd switch the conversation. And they would switch the conversation, and they would change the language to start selling me something. All of a sudden, I find out they're a financial planner or they sell insurance. And you know that toxic feeling when it all of a sudden feels like you just got used for the last 45 minutes or so? I think we do that every time we call our sphere of influence or our past clients and just ask for a referral. I think you are shitting on your clients and you don't even know it. You didn't think the minister guy would say shitting, right? But yeah, like I'm Lutheran, so like I'm forgiven right away. I think that's how it works, so I'm totally good. Here's the strategy that we employ with our team. If we have a client event coming up, say our Pi Day is coming up in a couple of weeks, you've been receiving phone calls, text messages, emails, Facebook notifications, and all these other things to stay in front of people. What's your name? Shastine. We don't have any Shastines in Fargo, so there you go. So if Shastine was my client or my friend or whatever it may be, I'd send you some text messages. I'd make sure I get voice to voice, and if I can't get voice to voice, I'm going to leave a voicemail because we have a relationship. By the way, I don't think you should ever leave a voicemail with somebody who you don't know. But because Shastine and I know each other now, I'm going to leave a voice message reminding you about Pi Day, encouraging you to sign up, pointing to you, pointing to you, pointing to you. I have 5 or 6 points of contact. Then we give away the pie and you show up. And we think we're these big heroes because we're giving things away at a client event. But what happens is this, is you just drove 20 minutes in one direction to come and pick up a $6 Costco pumpkin pie to drive 20 minutes in the other direction. You invested in me more than I invested in you. Do you realize that? It's really big. And so what happens then, Shastine, is now I'm calling you the week after Thanksgiving and I'm asking you, how was your holiday? How was the pie? And I've now made 7 or 8 contacts, correct? I'm going to end that conversation by saying, Shastine, if it's cool with you, I want to call you next week because I have a really awesome business thing that I'm working on. I've identified it as a business conversation, and now when I call you next week, I'm going to say, Shastine, it's Erik. Hey, do you have a minute so I can talk business with you? Awesome. Hey, I have a huge goal for 2020. My wife and I have these really big dreams of empowering our kids and having them as a part of the process. And so I want you, if possible, to be thinking of anybody who's looking to buy or sell. Here's what I want, Shastine. This is a huge mistake. Please take this away from your time here because I think this is maybe the most valuable thing I can teach you. Is that you need to teach your past clients and sphere of influence how to give you a referral. You need to teach them because most of the time, Shastine would say like, hey, I referred you to my coworker last week. And I'm like, that's great, but they never called me. We have to teach our past clients and sphere of influence how to give a referral. And so I would say to you, Shastine, if you know of anybody that's looking to buy or sell, would you introduce me on a text message? And the 3 of us, I'll get you out of there so you're not caught. But would you do that for me? Because I'm committed to my wife and my family. You see how that feels a little different? Our customers are demanding more. They don't want to be transactionalized. They don't want to be scripted. They want to be connected with. So my challenge to you is to try to find a way to be remarkable. And that means to do things that other people aren't doing and to be so exceptional that people will literally remark about you. On that list of 3, we talked about PCSOI, the low-hanging fruit, and the long-term nurtures. And this is all a play into doing things that will feed into your PCSOI. Simon Sinek has a book out right now called The Infinite Game, and he speaks of playing the finite game, that is chasing the transactions and working on just one piece of business after the next. But the infinite game is branding yourself as such and playing such a game of a long-term strategy that you are invested and ingrained in people's lives and you become synonymous as a relationship and not as a realtor. I am going to need 4 volunteers. 4 very brave, willing souls. Dan Beer, there's 1. Thank you. Jesse, there's 2. My man in the pink, there's 3. Black shirt McGee, there's 4. Come on up. We got a lot of gingers coming up on the stage. This feels good. I'm in the power and presence of greatness. What's your name, brother? Nick. Erik Hatch, a pleasure. Dan and Jesse, and you are? Ahman.
Yes.
Did I say that right?
Yes.
No, I probably didn't, but you're very nice to me. So I'm from Fargo, North Dakota, and in Fargo, North Dakota, there is a school called North Dakota State University. otherwise known as the alma mater of Carson Wentz, the starting quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. By the way, I get to be on the field for the Eagles-Patriots game on Sunday. Pretty excited about that. Yeah, it's good to know people, right? I actually know Carson. He's a super great dude, and people tell me that I look like his fat brother in this picture, so I think that's really great. North Dakota State University has won 7 of the last 8 national championships for FCS football. They have currently won 32 games in a row. One of the things I do is for all the home games for NDSU football, I give $500 to the United Way for every time they score a touchdown. There's 6 home games in the course of a season, and I give about $15,000 a year to the United Way. Just as a branding piece. It has nothing to do with real estate, but everything to do with doing good. And the NDSU men's football team, not that there's a women's football team, but the NDSU football team, I watch their TV production. They have a show that happens on Sundays following the game. And when you listen to these young men talk about what it means to be an NDSU Bison, almost all the time they say, I've learned to play for the person next to me. It's fascinating. It's so exciting. In fact, it had inspired me so much that I wrote a book. Here's my selfless promotion, and shameless, is that back in that corner, I brought 60 books with me. I want to sell out if I can. So if you want to buy my book, it's all about leadership, and it mentions real estate like 3 times. Okay? And so if you're interested in that, please come see me afterwards. I'd love to meet you and shake hands and kiss babies as well. So with that, though, I wanna go through one of the exercises that happens in our book, okay? I'm going to challenge the 4 of you to plank for 3 minutes, okay? Okay? So planking is on your elbows and on your toes in a push-up position, or you can be on your hands. You can choose either or. But I'm going to challenge you for 3 minutes to plank. If you can't make it, that's okay, but the goal is to get to 3 minutes. Everybody understand? The goal is to get to 3 minutes. Now, the rest of you, the 300 of you out here, I don't want you to say peep. I want you to stay quiet as this is going on, okay? I don't want you to say peep. You may have a hard time seeing. If that's the case, feel free to stand up. But gentlemen, in 3 seconds, you're going to begin. In 3, 2, 1, assume the position. Now, I've been working out a lot lately. I've been doing this thing called 75 hard. Anybody familiar with 75 hard? Okay, so for 75 days, I'm on day 58 right now. I'm working out 2 times a day. I live in North Dakota, remember, and so one of those 45-minute workouts a day has to be outside. So I'm going on walks and stuff when it's 10 below, and then you have to eat right, you have to read, and you have to do all these other things. But how you doing so far, Ahmed?
Tired.
Tired, okay. You're like 30 seconds in, so stay strong. Was it Mike?
Nick.
Nick, I'm going to call you Nick. Okay. Nick, how you feeling?
About to turn the color of my shirt.
Okay, yeah. There's ginger all over his face and on his body, everything else. Dan, how are you feeling?
Now amazing. But,
Okay, you guys are a minute in. Okay, you got 2 minutes left to go. Jesse, how are you?
I'm pretty good. Do you have any food?
This is the quietest I've ever heard Jesse in my life. By the way, if you know him, that guy can talk, and man, he's brilliant. Anybody in pain so far? Yeah. Okay, Dan said he has to go to the bathroom, so this is going to be an interesting little wet spot here. Remember, the goal is to get to 3 minutes. You guys are a minute and a half in so far. You probably didn't expect to sweat. If you could see, Jesse has this vein popping out of his neck right now. It's pretty intense. Nick, where are you from, dude?
Born and raised in Mesa, here in San Diego.
Okay, perfect. And how long have you been in real estate?
18 months.
Okay. Oh, so you're a new kid on the block and a volunteer. That says a lot about your character, actually, is to get up here. By the way, you're 2 minutes in. You have 1 minute left. Okay. If you can't do it, that's okay. Your goal is to get to 3 minutes. Okay? No, you guys shut up! No, you guys be quiet. You, stop smiling. I'm just kidding. Okay, you're there, 45 seconds left. I'm impressed with how you're doing so far. Dan chooses the push-up position. Everybody else goes on their elbows. Ahmed, you were ready to quit 30 seconds ago, but you didn't. That's a big deal. It's a big deal. All right, 30 seconds left. I'm not going to cut you short because you're struggling. You're going to make it all the way. By the way, I did this a couple months ago. I had a gal who was 6 weeks past having a baby in heels doing it. Like super powerful. Okay, By the way, Dan spilled coffee on his suit earlier today, and now he is covered in sweat as well. You have 10 seconds. Count it down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Give him a round of applause, everybody. I always try to invite people that won't show cleavage, but Dan always shows cleavage. And so I felt like, okay, this will just... Okay. All right. There were a few really interesting things that happened. First off, I said that the goal was 3 minutes. Why did you stop at the goal?
I went like 3 seconds longer.
Okay. Do you see that, though? Isn't that what happens is we set goals in our life? I said we're going to talk business, and then we're going to talk personal. We set goals in our life, and then we get there, and then we're like, that's good, I'm done. Right? Most of the time.
He's going for more.
Okay. Okay, I want you to see that you probably had more to give, didn't you?
Yeah.
You found another level, didn't you?
Yeah.
Have you read the book Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins? Because he talks about this next level that you have, and I think you had that next level. My guess is if we were to do this again, and if we had more time, we would actually have them do it again and see how long they could go. Is you're going to find out that you have a lot of things riding on this. You have other people watching you, and that matters, doesn't it? If you and I were alone doing this, would you have quit? Yes or no?
No.
Really?
No.
I probably would have. You would have.
Yeah.
Okay, if these people weren't watching, if your peers weren't watching, you would have quit.
100%.
Right? Okay? Isn't that the truth? Who is your tribe that's cheering you on? Jesse, I got to say, I've done this activity a dozen times or more. You were the first person that I've ever seen on the stage cheer on the other people. No, that's the whole point of this, guys. That speaks of your character. Here's the idea that I'm trying to get at, is when you start cheering on other people and you stop worrying about your own pain, you find more strength. If you're going to play for the person next to you, it's not about what you're going through, it's about helping your brothers along the way. And you have to understand, whether you run a team, you're on a team, or you're an independent agent, you have a responsibility to care for the people that are within your walls. If you want to be different, if you want to have greater goals, and if you want to achieve things that other people can't achieve, you got to be like Jesse. Regardless of your pain, regardless of what you're going through, you got to start cheering on other people. That's what playing for the person next to you means, and that's how you can be different. God bless you.